so different. Good morning, good morning, good morning, my We Are Not So Different family. Thank you for choosing to tune into another episode. This morning's guest, we have the Bakers. Good morning, guys.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
So, to give you a little background, Quinton and Breonna, to be married a millennial and making boss moves requires a level of prayer and love that shows no bounds. It knows no bounds. Quinton and Breonna Baker are here to share their love, tips on life, and how to level up in what God has purposed you to do. All right, y'all, listen. I don't know if y'all realize that was packed full, like it, you could chew on that for a little bit. So I'm super excited to dive into some of this questions and content and all that good stuff. But before we get started, y'all know the drill. My babies out there, find your favorite spot on the couch and then get your favorite drink, whether that's Kool-Aid or Cavassier, and then tune into this conversation. We're gonna jump right in. All right, Miss Breonna and Quinton, look, all my guests get the same two questions, and you two, no different. I don't know how y'all want to do it. If y'all want to answer it individually or collectively, I'll let y'all hash that out. I'm just gonna ask the questions.
Okay, let's rock.
First one, if you had the opportunity to speak to an audience of your choosing, who would said audience be, and what would you tell them?
And this is for us together?
Yeah, or individually, however y'all want to do it.
So we actually have been talking about this.
Okay.
We've been talking about this. And we want to be able to have a room full of people who either A, are already married or desire to be married, or they just friends. We are all about building relationships. And so in that building, we want to have authentic conversations that can honestly pull out some stuff that can cause a conflict,
Right.
But we want to be able to provide solutions.
All right.
She hit it spot on. The only thing I add is that that diversity piece, because so many of us come from so many different cultural backgrounds, even despite what country we may be in, what city we may be in, everybody has grown up different. So their beliefs and values are different. And just bringing that together creates a new level of thought process.
Okay. I was told that when two people are getting married, it's two worlds that are coming together and trying to form one. So they hit each other and explode, and there's a mess, right?
Yes.
And that's about the most accurate description I've ever heard as it pertains to like two people. Yeah, like there's an explosion. There's more than friction. There's an explosion. We're trying to come one. So there's got to be some breaking apart and then coming back together. So I'm super excited that you guys are all about what it sounds like a resolution. Because man, listen. We need a resolution. That's
yes,
not my song.
Aaliyah.
Like,
come on now.
So yeah, I'm super excited to jump into that piece. Okay, so now this one y'all kind of have to do separate, because we need the men and the women, to hear from both sides. So flip a quarter, who wants to go first? But the next question. If you had the opportunity to speak to a younger version of yourself, let's say 4 or 5 little Quinton or 4 or 5-year-old Breonna, what do you think they would need to hear?
I'll spearhead this one. I think that little Quinton would need to hear, don't get discouraged despite the surroundings, despite what it looks like.
Okay.
Focus more on your vision, the dreams, and just stay focused.
All right. Little Quinton, stay focused. Focus. What about little Breonna?
Little Breonna, I would tell her, your big heart will cost you, but it's worth it.
That hit me in the feels, sis. Because I know exactly what you mean. I do. Oh my gosh. But it's worth it. You're 100% right. It's worth it. Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Okay, don't do it, Andre. I was about to segue. Focus. Okay, so I really want to. Don't do it, Andre. Okay.
Segue, whatever you feeling.
So I had this vision once where I went in prayer because I felt like God was asking me something that I was totally unequipped to do. So I went into prayer, and as I lay there soaking, I had this vision where I was with him and I took my heart and I ran over it and I gave it to him, like, fix it. Like, I need you to do something with it. And I was so excited because I just knew he was going to fix it. I was like, yes, he going to fix my heart. We going to be good to go. And I'll be able to do exactly what he called me to do in the earth. So we sat there and I'm like, so and I was like, I waited as patiently as I could. And I finally said, hey, so Jesus, you gonna fix my heart or what? And he gave me his.
Ooh.
Yeah. And at first I was like, I don't want to be responsible for this.
Right.
But through more prayer and revelation, it just lets me know it requires the heart of God to do any kind of ministry. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, like he's gonna ask you to do some things that maybe you feel like you're unable or ill-equipped or just not able to do. Like, okay, this is the grace I thought I needed. Give me another heart. I'm gonna fix mine. But he was like, no, let me give you mine. So it's worth it, sis. Yes. Oh, big hearts and all. Okay, I'm sorry.
That's good.
Yeah,
That's
I went
good.
somewhere. It's worth it though, guys. It's worth it. So Resilient Love Podcast, RLP. Oh my gosh. When I read and I see it, I'm like, this is what people need to hear today, man. And it really touched a spot within me because I don't know, I just know I have a heart for people. And marriages, that's a whole nother like level of, oh my gosh, just because once you've been in it, like, like, oh my gosh, there's nothing, unless you have been in it, there's no level, not saying don't do it, ladies and gentlemen, hear me, hear my heart, not saying don't go get you no premarital counseling because you're going to need tools. But what I'm saying is there is no level of training and or tutelage or whatever that can prepare you 100% for what you're about to experience when you hop into it. All that to say, love what you guys are doing, like keeping God first, marriage wise, because it's difficult with him, right? I couldn't imagine trying to do it without him. So I guess I want to know, first question for me is, how do you guys work? Like, so I'm a very practical person. I want to know, like, how do you guys work to keep God as the priority? If there's something that you have in your head or hearts, make it simple for all of the listeners, me, myself included. What do you do?
Keeping God first requires you to put yourself last. And what we do, and I'm being honest,
please do.
We have been very slacking, if you will, making sure that we put him first because we try to put our agenda, our list, our job requirements. And so that does taint the flow because we're putting those worldly things.
Yeah.
But what we do, practically speaking, is we first go to each other and say, have you prayed? Have you taken a moment to just pray? Because I'm seeing the emotion. I'm feeling some emotion. What's going on here? And so when we take a moment to pray, it begins to help us realign ourselves and reorder the flow.
Yeah, it's necessary.
I like to say God has a sense of humor sometimes, and sometimes it's like, okay, I get it. He'll put challenges in your way that will force you to say, you you forgot something.
Come spend some time with me. Come let me holler.
Right. Yeah. I'm literally, I can give you an example. A few weeks ago, I had been running, and sometimes we have to, even as men, remember, just stay home. Just sometimes it's best to just cut external things off to make sure you're present in the internal home. Mm-hmm. And some guy did it right on time. I walked to the window right on time. There was a massive thunderstorm with lightning, and I saw that lightning bolt strike to the ground, and I said, got it. Gotcha.
Right. Okay. I go back. Yes. All right.
Yes.
So it's just a testament to say it's the external things that we can't get so distracted on, and remember in the internal of why.
Yeah.
So how did you guys meet? I'm being nosy now.
Well, it all began in middle school.
Yeah.
So I met Quinton as a 6th grader, and we were both kind of course, doing our own thing. But I had interest in this other gentleman. And so my interest was there. So he was like, as the kids say, your good guy friend. Oh. Your good guy friend. And so
I was on the shelf. The draft.
Oh, okay.
He was a good guy friend.
Okay.
So fast forward, we go to high school, and his cousin is marching in the band with me. And I was like, I know your cousin. Is your cousin talking to somebody? And he was like, no. I said, well, just pass my number and let him know I said, hey. So his cousin was like, okay, I got you. So the next day, saw him at lunch. I said, hey, did your cousin give you my number? And he was like, yeah, he did. I was surprised. And so moving forward, we began an actual relationship. But dun dun dun. We only talked for our 10th grade year. Yep. So once we began 11th, we broke it off. Now share with the people what happened with the break off.
So the break off was the typical guy that says, it's not you, it's me.
Oh.
He hit me with the cliche, y'all. He hit me with the cliche.
And in all honesty, that was little Quinton that got to be a bigger Quinton that was still trying to figure out, trying to model what he saw, other people, trying to run game, just trying to be,
trying to sow your royal oats.
A floater. and it's sad because I wasn't that type of guy, but I guess it was a power structure, a control thing where I didn't want to be tied down if the opportunity presented itself.
Gotcha.
And then at that time, I was in the process of getting licensed. So my mind shift changed to I'm about to be outside.
In the streets.
So from there, we 11th grade, 12th grade, we graduate. At graduation, he goes to the workforce. I end up going to college. So I end up going 2.5 hours away from home to college. So at that time, we were doing the Facebook check-in, happy birthday, Merry Christmas, So we get to 2013.
She didn't know, but I would check on her from time to time. Make sure she good. Nobody ain't,
Okay.
Okay. I'm getting checked on. So 2013-14 was a shift in both of our lives because we cut off long-term relationships during that year time span. We were both in long-term relationship with other people. So anyway, we broke that off due to those reasons. And so I went to a conference actually with Heather Lindsay, and it was a Pinky Promise conference. And at that time, I was in a place where I had really lost my identity in the relationship that I had just gotten out of. And so I was like, I pretty much went to that conference, laid my heart on the altar, like, God, as I go back and finish my last year of college, I want to cleanse myself of XYZ. And so when I walked away from that conference in Georgia, I came back a new woman. I came back renewed. I came back fresh. And so I bring that point up to say, ladies, when you exit one relationship, cleanse yourself. And I'm saying cleanse your emotional space, your mental space, because you at that time were merging some ideas, identities with this gentleman who you now have cut off. Yeah. And so soul ties is what I'm referring to. Yes, so you just got to release that. So I did. So when 14 came, this is when we began talking again. It all started with Glide.
Yeah, Glide. I don't even know what Glide. I don't even know.
Y'all can still download Glide. Go look it up. You can still download.
Okay.
So Glide was a quick check-in of like FaceTime, but it was in messages. So you get 30 seconds to a minute
video messaging.
Back and forth. And took a long time to get a whole
conversation.
Yeah. But onto that, we had the conversation. We would check in more frequently, to the point, of course, she was in college. I was still back home. And so we decided to meet up. Was it one Saturday? Mm-hmm. One Saturday, our first outing since
He never called it a date. First outing.
Okay.
We went to a football game, a college football game.
My school was playing a school that was closer to home, so I met him in our hometown, and then we went to the game.
Yeah, okay. I picked you up.
Yeah, he picked me up, so he wasn't no date though.
Yeah, I picked you up. and that's where it gets funny, because Quinton was not as alert at that time, that day. I don't know. It was just new. We had not been out together.
So remember, when we were talking in high school, it wasn't your typical he picked me up talking. It was talk at school. That's it.
Right.
Okay.
So adult version was different. So it's like you thinking about everything. Let me not talk too much. Let me talk too. You're just thinking. And so I park. We enjoy the game. We have a good time. And when I come back,
the car is towed.
Yeah, I keep hitting the button. And...
So I feel bad because I said, park right here. Park
here. No.
So I feel bad. I'm like, this guy not going to pick me up for this outing again.
Oh my gosh.
Well, it was just a whole thing because
we got the car back, y'all. But okay. That's our point is, that was the first moment where we actually began to have a real life moment of trusting each other, sharing some stuff, because I felt so bad. I paid for it, but he paid me right back. You know, it was just like, you can't go to college like that. He was like, no, Breonna, I got it. Like, it was just some friends hanging out. But at that moment, it was like, it just shifted for us.
I was like, because she kept saying, you don't have to give it back. I'm like,
because I felt so bad.
That's not normal where I come from.
I know that's okay.
But yeah, so that's how we met, y'all.
So now I want to know, how did you know? And I think this is so important for people who are looking. I don't want to say looking because that makes it sound desperate. For those who desire marriage, who desire a mate, how did you know that Quinton was for you? And Quinton, how you know? Breonna, how did y'all know?
I don't know. I kind of, as you asked that, I think about grandparents. When you know. And there's just, you begin to tally and you add it up and you say, they did this. They're true. Like, it's not about money. Because my biggest thing was,
what was your personal deal breaker thing?
Deal breaker was the gold digger field. Deal breaker for me is always, you like, people that I can trust, and that's very little.
Yeah, he milked that like he was like, I sincerely trust you. I trust you. I trust you. I'm like, okay, yeah, I got you.
You trust me.
Because what happens is when you get out of prior relationships, even looking back at it today, you develop walls, almost like these invisible walls that only you can see or feel.
Yeah.
But they're there, and the only way the other person can see it is if they have enough instinct to know and hear and discernment in their heart and mind, like something shifted.
Mm-hmm.
We went to one topic and it shifted.
Hmm.
So those are the times you see those walls, and you want to have somebody that's able to help you bring those walls down together.
Yeah.
And I think that's what made me like, okay, despite, and the last one was, actually I had got Breonna's ring prior. I had got sick, really sick, more sick than I ever had. But prior to that, I had got a ring, and I would just keep it in my top drawer, and I would just like contemplate, like, I don't know, Lord. No.
You was doing more than contemplating if you went out and bought a ring, sir.
I'm like, you done bought the ring, you know.
Yeah, that's
you
more
know
than
this,
contemplating.
you know this.
I had, and it's funny because I bought the ring a few days shy of me leaving a position that I was in. And I was like, if I don't do nothing else today, I'm gonna do this. I took a long lunch break and I went and picked that ring out. And
yeah, I knew he was the one because he showed himself to be consistent in the things that I desire. I desired leadership. I desired someone who showed himself to be organized, who could handle how to handle pressure properly, you know, not to really shake under pressure. He was able to articulate stuff in the middle of crisis. You know, he was not panicking about the car. I was panicking. He was like, it's going to be all right, you know. So really having somebody who was almost like an anchor, that's how I felt, and that's what I knew. And I mean, he could dress good. You know, he had the exterior, but that mindset, he was definitely focused on Christ, focused on rebuilding. Going back to our first question about putting God first, he was showing himself to build that relationship. He desired to pray. He desired to go to Bible study, you know. So all of those things led me to say, God, if he the one, make it plain.
Yes.
And he did, and here we are.
Yes, I love it. Did you hear that, babies? So I love how you focused on, before you said anything about the outside, okay, he looked good, he smelled good, he dressed good, all that good stuff. She listed things that were important to her. You desired leadership. You desired someone who was stable, even in the moment of crisis. Babies, listen. Take away all the glitz and glam that you see on social media. Forget all that, because I believe it skews our perception so wildly. And focus, what do you really want? If God is in the business of giving us the desires of our heart, then we need to ask ourselves what it is that we want in a mate. Before you go anywhere else, stop there, start there. So I'm so glad that's what you started with. So, okay, Resilient Love Podcast. We're fast forwarding. We married. We doing what we do. Mm-hmm. How did that come to be? Because I feel like there's a story there. There's always a story there. How did the podcast come to be? Resilient Love Podcast.
So in that season, I was very heavily focused on podcasts. And one particular podcaster that inspired me was Tatum Tamia of the Blessed and Bossed Up podcast. And she was sharing on one episode about how if you desire to share with others and be that leader, think about what you needed. Think about the voices that you wanted in a particular season that you were in. So she would just say, assess your life. And so I was talking to Quinton. I said, there's not a lot of people in the podcast world who are African-American, millennials, who are speaking about Christ and having a Christ-centered marriage, and even throwing in some business, right? Because you do work with your partner, not just in life, but in business. And so I said, there's a few people, not to negate anybody out there, but I just didn't see anybody in our particular bracket. And so I went to him with it. He was like, I don't know, you always talking about a podcast. I don't know. And so, it took a minute for him to come around, but I'll let him share how he felt.
Okay.
So I don't know, I guess because I grew up around older people. Okay. I have that granddaddy spirit where
yes.
you're gonna have to sell me on this. Mm-hmm. You can't just tell me that it's good, it's gonna work. What's your strategy? What's proven? Can you give me something to work with?
Yeah.
Yes.
And first of all, I got to understand it. See, she's the tech. I'm coming up. I'm coming along. Thank God we married, because I don't know if I would be able to survive in the But I think it's just.
I think I really got him when I said we were going to talk about business, and that we were going to get a guy from Kinston. His name is Ephraim Yates. Oh, am I saying that right?
Ephraim, yep.
Okay, so anyway, he is from our city, Kinston, and he is a franchise owner. And at the time, he was just about to release this information. And so me and Quinn felt like, wow, we're getting the first interview. Uh-huh. And so we wanted to be a voice for those in our city, those who are married, because at that time we started off with business, because we knew a lot of people wanted to hear about business. From there, we began to talk about relationships. We began to talk about loving yourself, loving your spouse, etc. So we did it in series. And so for him, if I'm right,
yeah, you're right,
that's what really helped pull it in. And so as we began to build conversation, especially from the group that we met in, that's where he was like, wow, Bree, this is good. Resilient love, like showing people stories.
Yeah. That was the selling point, though. That you got to sell me. I just
it's funny. I had to really work this thing, y'all. So
all right. I see it. Cool. So however it came to be, I'm glad that Miss Breonna sold you on the idea, because you're absolutely right. Like, I don't care if there were 1 million people in your bracket speaking about marriage, relationships, and how to keep Christ-centered, you are still needed, because somebody, and I know it sounds cliche, but listen, one person, you impacting one person has the potential to impact countless others. It has the potential to change the trajectory of their lifestyle, their lineage. You understand what I'm saying? So I don't care how many people was out there already. So somebody could be doing exactly what you do. You move forward in it, knowing that you have the potential to impact so much more. Anytime he gives us something to do, it's never for us. And it's never just like a chew. It's more like type of
right
thing. So I know this is like, I just feel like I want to suck all the good stuff I can before I got to get out of here. Like, if you could give tips on anything off the top of your head, for those that are looking to get married, let's start there first. Tips for those who are looking to get married. I'm so glad I got both of y'all here, because then we can hear the man's perspective and we can hear the woman's perspective. Have it.
We do a lot of podcasts right around the house just talking. I'm like, but those are the behind the scenes stuff. But anyway, I think you have to consider premarital counseling. I think that is a absolutely must. That it almost should be a law that you have to get premarital counseling from an unbiased source, and that when you get the premarital counseling, you don't just do it as a cliche, as a formality, that you do it with the intention of actually learning who your partner is, what you're about to get into, and what's the expectations. Men sometimes we glance over it, we don't really read. And you need to be able to read your woman. You need to be able to read your wife.
Okay, come on, Quinton.
So I think it's important that you become a student of your wife and vice versa. And that's what keeps it like a purpose-driven type of marriage. You know, we intentionally do date nights now, as one time we didn't. We got so busy and consumed. And I think you just have to make sure you stay newlyweds mentally.
Yeah, I love that. Yes. Come on, Quinton, with the male perspective. All right, Miss Breonna, you on that?
Okay. When you desire to be married, I will first say, make sure that you are fully prepared for yourself. And I say that for women because we are nurturers, we are givers. We come into the thing 110% ready. And then we get, swayed, or we might have those moments of regret, like I should have did this or I could have did that. But I want you to know, going after what you want now, as in preparing your mindset, preparing your body and all of that, really getting organized and prepared. Like I'm just speaking from me. That's what I had to do. I had to get the total package, because when we started talking, I came into it mentally ready to be with him. The conversations were very open and honest. Like, are you ready to talk with the potential or the focus of getting married? Like, do you see this pathway? Now that wasn't the first conversation, but as we progressed and it got very serious, that's when we got there. So I will say, check you. The second thing I would say is, go into it with a mindset of having fun. I think society makes it seem like, girl, once you get with him, you won't be able. I just think we have to also bring that level of enthusiasm, the same enthusiasm you had dating him, going out, you put on your perfume, you called your girls, girl, I'm about to go out with Q. When you do all of that, keep that same energy. I'm telling you, the real thing that changed is you living together and you're paying some bills together. Everything that you did to get here, it really is the same, y'all. So yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So those for the people that were like looking to get married. So
yeah.
Now that we're,
I'm gonna add one thing.
Hey, come on.
Because I'm real big on mindset.
Okay.
And the one thing you have to do is change your language. One of the number one things, especially in the male community, is we say locked down. When you get married, you're gonna get locked down, man.
Mm-hmm.
Totally incorrect. If you go into it as looking at, I'm
sentence.
going to prison.
Wow.
What do you expect?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Awesome. Okay. And thank you for the clarification. We're not getting locked down. Doggone it. Okay. So now let's go into, that was for those who are looking to get married. So let's go into the ones who are already married. One of the things that I just heard you say a while ago, you guys date intentionally now. So what are some other tips on how to keep that thing fresh, like dating your partner, making it intentional? I think earlier you said that you had to make it a priority to be in the home, to actually have a presence in the home. It took you almost getting electrocuted with a bolt of lightning, but you got it. So what are some more tips about keeping that thing fresh, keeping it, keeping it light?
Yeah, the date nights, and also just walking into it and having conversations. I think sometimes when you get married, you assume, but like Quinn said earlier, being a student, so every time you go to school, you're getting prepared for another lesson. So I think every time you wake up beside your partner, you're getting prepared for another lesson. So really understand that what you learned about them on day 1 is going to be totally different in day 21 or day 31. So just being open
Right.
I think that's the best word to say. Being open to your spouse evolving. Because one thing that we have heard is that people begin to go into divorce mode because you're not the same, but you should want your spouse to be different.
Yeah.
You should want them to be better. Now, if they're going down a different path, obviously, but you should want your spouse to evolve. Right. The Quinton I met in high school is not the Quinton I met in 14, and that's not the Quinton y'all looking at right now.
Yeah.
Those are 3 different Quintons, and I'm so happy about that because he's evolving.
All right.
So yeah,
I love it. Love it.
And just know,
I got happy. Sorry.
No,
it's all right. You good.
You hit all the points. But in all honesty, it's just like you said, when there's some turbulence going on, most people want to run fast as you can. And that's anytime that there's a challenge or an issue going on, I look at it as an opportunity. Mm-hmm. So those people, you feel like their life is so great, especially with social media age. Oh my God.
Lies.
I want to be like them. Their life is so great. And I just want to just say that if there's no issues, then something's off. Because there should be something that challenges, like our communications, our first year are way different now. Mm-hmm. The trigger, the little triggers, the petty stuff, mm-hmm. Simple stuff. And some stuff is just like, why?
and one last thing on that one last thing is keeping a hobby or like keeping your friend girls or your guy friends, like really having that separation time. People don't hear that a lot, but having that time to just do you. There's nothing wrong with that in marriage. Right. Having a do you day and then come back home to bae.
Because you're still you. You're still Breonna. You're still Quinton. And I wholly understand that and agree 125%. Because sometimes I don't want to be bothered. Is that okay? I love you. But can I love you from over here? Can you go over there? I'm just saying. Okay. So we did the pre-marriage. Now we did the marriage. But now we in the thick of it and it got ugly. And I don't like you. I might still love you, but I don't like you. But I'm getting ready to run. So what tips do you have for those that are struggling, that are talking about the D word, might even be on their way to like see somebody about the D word? What, like, do you have some lifelines or some little dinghies, a little circling lifesaver thingies? Help for those.
SOS.
Yes.
I think as I'm like a natural born investigator, like I'm gonna find out what's going on and get to the bottom mm-hmm. of it. So I think that's how you have to look at the situation at hand. What's the issue? What's been the track record for X amount of time?
Okay.
What could be, because at this point, if you're looking at the D word, what do you have to lose? You need to get in the game and try something. You need to try to do some plays, because what you're doing, you're zero on the scoreboard. It ain't working.
And with that, you have to really assess. You have to ask the hard questions. What are the things that I have held back from him that now it has caused a pile up? There was one thing you did not say. Yeah. And now anything he does, it's annoying or it's bothering or it's a trigger. So it really started off with one thing. And like he was saying, assess, investigate. What is that one thing you never told him? And when you finally tell him, it's probably going to hurt, but I'd rather you hurt and get to heal than cut it off.
Yeah.
And also, in order for your partner to evolve, and it's hard to see this when you're in the thick, but like, for example, Breonna used to say, you take so long to get ready. And I said, I have evolved now. That used to be me. I have a time frame now that I'm in. And I would literally say, timing.
Oh, timing.
Timing. Because I'm not that guy anymore. I work to improve. And
catching that.
And one day she was like, you just move so slow. I said, you're not hearing me.
You keep that person in the old.
Yeah.
You're still reading them from their last resume, not understanding that they have done some things to build it up. They've taken the class. They went to the sessions, but you're not giving them credit for what they're doing.
And we can't turn a new chapter if you keep holding me in we get getting stuck right there
on that same page. We on the same page. We keep reading the same page, and we're not getting to the next phase of our marriage.
Or the next evolution as you continue to grow together. I love that. Anything else? Like I said, I feel like I want to put anything else that y'all got. Because you know what? I believe that there are so many people that out there and they struggle in silence. Like we don't have to, guys. Like there are people out there that want to help. There are people out there. You are not the only one going through what you're going through. Just because it's all glitz and glam on social media, you are not alone. You don't have to suffer in silence. So if there's anything else that you can offer my listeners, that someone that might be hurting, someone that might be struggling, like what can we do? What can we work it out? Work it out.
What I will say to any woman, I would say to her, sis, girl, child, it's going to get better, because you have to plant the seed and water it for it to grow. So there's a level of patience that comes with progression.
Yeah.
So I want you to know that your marriage is going to evolve. You as a woman, you're going to evolve. So, but you have to have patience with yourself and with your spouse, understanding that they are an individual who has to change and transform and think and grow. So you have to be patient. We always say, I'm a plant mom. Well, honey, I want you to water your husband.
Yes.
I want you to water your marriage. I want you to water yourself. I want you to grow, sis, grow.
I love that. And while you're thinking, I love that you use that analogy, because I want you to think about it. So you planted a seed, right? People, and I've heard this analogy used before, like farmers, they use fertilizer. And you know what fertilizer is, right?
Yeah.
They use fertilizer to grow a seed. So you in the ground, it's dark, you can't see nothing, and you got all this, for lack of a better word, dookie piled on top of you. But it's part of the process. That's why the word tells us to walk by faith and not by sight. Because if you walking by your sight, you see darkness and you smell dookie. So listen.
Right.
This said, pause, take the time, and just continue watering that seed. Water your husband, water your marriage, water yourself. I love it. Quinton, you look like you finna say something, like I'm here for it.
I always got something I can. But one thing in particular, I think most people interpretation, or it can get all over the place. And husbands should leave their home, be the head of their household. And what that really means is that you lead with God. Not
Make
by
it
your
plain.
own.
Make it plain. Come on.
Not by your own strength, not by you lead with God. Because without God, we've seen what happens to leaders that lead without. They leave without.
That part. Yeah.
So I just, and you have to know your role. And sometimes it's okay to really just say, I need a little help. I need a little help in this area. I'm not the best budgeter. I need a strategy. I'm still the leader.
Yes.
But this is the king maker.
Right. I'm the help me. That's what I'm here for, to help you.
That's right.
And then you come with the mindset, Like, me helping you helps me. So why not? Why wouldn't I? Like, so yeah, shoot. And I think it's quite appealing if a man is like secure in himself enough to say, look, help a brother out.
That's
And
right.
same
That's
thing
right.
for women. Like, everybody want to be INDEPE, but no, listen, like, it's okay. Look, when you see Brother Quinn shaking his head like, nah, fam, that's not it. It's okay.
I'm laughing because it just happened a few nights ago, and I was like, "You're better at this than me." Like, when it comes to organization, administration, plugging in, like, if she does it, I can tell. Like, I can just show up and I'm just hitting. I'm going because she's organized everything. The calendar is set, emails have been sent. That's her gift. I'm like, that's your ministry. I can do it, but it ain't the same.
Right. I love that you can recognize that within her, though. Yes, boost up your queen. Yes, yes, yes.
Yes.
Okay, so do you guys have any projects, aka boss moves, coming down the pipeline that you can share? You know, we are not so different as always looking for, you know, those announcements or whatever. And if not, cool.
Oh yeah. You guys can go check out our book, Confront the Conflict and Settle the Matter. It's
Wait,
a
confront
short.
the conflict because you're talking too fast, Brianna. Hold on. You said
I'm sorry. Confront the conflict
okay.
and settle the matter.
Yes.
That's
Is that
a
already
short.
out?
It's already out. It's a short guide that we did our first year of marriage. But what we're doing to answer the question is we're coming back with an extended version. And we are going to be working on that this year. That's our 2022 goal, is to come out with an extended version along with a workshop.
And just some things we can't share, but some things we plan on trying to.
We want to cultivate conversations around building communication. Because what we've seen in relationships, whether it's marriage or platonic or work, you gotta confront the conflict and settle the matter, and then we can all get to success.
It's so necessary, because what's not going to work is if you try to hide that dung underneath the rug, because I can still smell the funk. And if I mess around and step in it, now you've created a mess. So I am all about that. But I also understand that everyone is not comfortable with conflict. However, there's no way that you can be in this close proximity with your mate and not encounter conflict. So while you might not be comfortable with it, it is necessary.
I know.
So sis said, confront the conflict and settle the matter. It's out. Where can people find that?
On Amazon Kindle.
Okay, Amazon
Kindle, but we're going to have a paperback coming soon, y'all. Just stay with us.
Yes, I love it. Confront the conflict and settle the matter in the name of Jesus. That's my prayer. That's the name of the book, but the name in the name of Jesus is not part of it. That was just my prayer, y'all. Just Jesus, please.
Yes. Yes.
All right. So now that that's out there, where can my listeners find you? And I want you to use this time to shamelessly plug yourself. Give us all the deets. Where can we find you? Where can we listen? How can they get hooked up with that Resilient Love podcast? Because if these are the types of gems that you drop in during your podcast, we need to hear. We want to know. Where can we find you?
Resilient Love is actually on any platform you can listen to. Also, you can see us on YouTube as well. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook. And our personal pages is Mrs. MRS, Mrs. Breonna Baker, and
at on Facebook, of course, Quinton Baker, and Instagram and Twitter is at Ambassador QB. Okay.
I love it. And I know I keep saying that, but I'm serious. I'm really excited because man, listen, I don't know. I don't know if I said this to you in private, but, and I probably did because I'm that person. I don't know no bounds, y'all. I'm just going to go. So, you guys are aware that what you're doing is ministry, right? I mean, I can understand maybe why you don't put the word ministry in it. Maybe because you want to appeal to all audiences. Like, that's how I do. I want people to You run up on me and you're gonna be loved before you know it. And I'm not gonna Bible thump you, and I'm not gonna Jesus you to death. But before you know it, you're gonna be to encounter some Jesus, right? So what you guys do, like, is a ministry, man, and it is one that is much needed for a time such as this. It's people out here that, like, you're needed. Okay, Andrea, because I was about to go on a tangent. Y'all got to pass the collection plate. You're needed. So yes, Resilient Love Podcast. Go check it out with Miss Breonna, Mrs. Breonna. I'm sorry, she said MRS. Don't get it.
It's all right,
y'all. Mrs. Breonna and Quinton Baker. And definitely go to Amazon Kindle and find that Confront the Conflict and Settle the Matter. That's the name of the book, but I added In the Name of Jesus. That is my prayer. So thank you guys so much for coming on. I'm super, super excited for everything that God is about to do through you guys and with you guys. And man, when y'all get ready to release that extended version, holler at We Are Not So Different, because I wanna be a part. Also, whenever y'all get to do whatever Quinton said that y'all couldn't talk about today, but okay, whenever y'all get ready to talk about it, holler at your girl.
Oh yeah, we coming back. We appreciate you so much.
Yes, we appreciate
no problem. It's honestly been my pleasure. Okay, guys, so you know the drill. Find you something to do this weekend that says I love me. Yeah, you might got the kids. For just a second, you know, tune them out. Hubby, he gonna be all right. Wifey, she good. Find something to do for you that says I love me. Self-care, because you know what? You deserve it. Until next time, love you guys. Peace. We are not so different.